What if everything you believe about freedom was a carefully crafted illusion? They never wanted you to ask that question. Because if you do, you might find the crack in the system, the glitch in the matrix, the moment when you realize you were never free. From the day you were born, you were placed inside a structure, invisible, untouchable, but meticulously engineered. A global system run by an elite that never shows its face. They don't need chains anymore. They use your desires, your screens, your money, your silence. You work, you pay, you obey, and you believe you're in control. But what if I told you that control was the biggest lie of all? Behind every financial crisis, behind every new law passed for your safety, behind every war, every media distraction, every algorithm that feeds your mind with noise, there is a code, a forbidden code, one that has been used for centuries by a global power so wealthy, so deeply rooted, it doesn't need permission because it wrote the rules. This video is not entertainment, it's not theory, it's not even news, it's a warning. And if you're here, something inside you already knows. Something feels wrong. Something doesn't add up. You feel it when you watch politicians speak, when banks profit from your struggle, when tech companies track your every move. You feel it when you lie awake at night, wondering why, no matter how hard you work, true freedom never comes. Because the truth is, it was never meant to. The elite built a matrix, not of wires, but of influence. They control the flow of money, the rhythm of society, the belief systems that shape your identity. They buried the truth under layers of manipulated history, false education, and spiritual control. They gave you a fake choice, left or right, rich or poor, free or slave. But behind it all, the same hands tighten the same ropes. This is the beginning of something you were never supposed to hear. A map through the shadows. A voice whispering in the dark, telling you that the world is not what it seems. What you're about to discover is not available on mainstream media, not taught in universities, not discussed in textbooks, because this information threatens the very core of the manipulated system. These are the 7 forbidden secrets the elite uses to control humanity, and if you choose to keep watching, you'll never see the world the same again. But be warned, knowing comes with a price. Once the veil is lifted, you can't put it back. The matrix will try to pull you back in. The distractions will get louder. The fear will creep in. That's how they keep you blind. That's how they win. But not this time, because if you're here, you're already awakening, and you're not alone. This message is for the few, the seekers, the ones who feel something deeper, the ones who were born to break the cycle. You were never meant to live in financial slavery. You were never meant to trade your soul for a paycheck. You were never meant to live in silence while the elite devoured the wealth of the world. The system is designed to feel normal. That's how it hides. That's how it survives. But tonight, we're opening the vault. Not the one they show you. The real one, where the blueprint of your false reality is hidden. They locked it, they sealed it, and they gave you the wrong key on purpose. But now, for the first time, we're breaking in, because the first forbidden secret waits inside, and once you hear it, nothing will ever feel the same again. If this message is resonating deep within you, it's because your soul remembers. It remembers a truth that was buried long before you were born. This is not just about economics, or politics, or power. This is spiritual warfare, a silent battle for your mind, your body, and your eternal identity. They've manipulated your reality, programmed your choices, and clouded your vision. But there's one thing they can't control: the power of awakened spirits united in truth and intention. That's why this isn't just a video. It's a call, a cry through the noise, a signal to those who still believe in something greater. If you're watching this and you feel the weight of what's been revealed, if your heart is trembling and your spirit is stirred, drop a prayer in the comments. Right now, just type it. Doesn't matter how short or long, because we read every single one. And yes, we will pray for you. This community isn't just awake, we're together. And that changes everything. The elite fears nothing more than minds that think freely and hearts that beat with divine purpose. They want division, isolation, silence. But the moment we speak, the moment we rise, the matrix fractures. So if you're with us, if you feel what's moving here, hit that like button so this truth reaches more people who are still asleep. Subscribe now, because what comes next is even more dangerous. And you won't find it anywhere else. We are just getting started. Now take a breath, because what's coming in the next few minutes will shake the very foundation of what you thought was real. Ready? Let's go deeper. They told you that you were free, that your choices were your own, that the life you live was built by your hands. But what if I told you every move you've made, every dream you chased, every belief you hold, was designed not by you, but by a system older than your memory and darker than you've ever imagined? From the moment you took your first breath, a silent architecture was already in motion, an invisible machine calibrated to predict your thoughts before you even had them. The elite don't need to lock you in a prison if they can convince you you're not in one. That's the brilliance of the global matrix. That's the first forbidden secret. You were never free. Governments, media, algorithms, they all whisper the same language. But it's not yours. It's a code written by unseen hands. You think you vote for leaders, you think you choose what to believe, but the second forbidden secret is this. Your will was hijacked long ago. What looks like freedom is engineered compliance. Social media doesn't reflect your voice. It shapes it. Education doesn't inform you. It selects what you're allowed to know. Every major decision, every choice you think you've made, was already predicted, modeled, and approved by systems you can't even name. This is not a theory. It's a structure, and it's been perfected through decades of psychological warfare. The third forbidden secret. They built a vault around the truth and gave you the wrong key. Mass media is the camouflage. Entertainment is the anesthetic. You're not distracted by accident, you're distracted by design. Every breaking headline, every trending sound, every app update. It's a needle threading your perception through the eye of their agenda. You don't watch the news. The news watches you. What if I told you that big data knows you better than you know yourself? Your fears, your habits, your political leanings, your spiritual doubts, they're all part of your file. They know which words ignite your rage, which videos keep you scrolling, which images can paralyze your logic and make you obey. That's the fourth forbidden secret. You are a product, and the product has no rights. You're not just living in a manipulated system, you are fueling it. And still, you think you're awake. But the system is clever. It doesn't need your belief. It only needs your participation. Silent compliance is the most efficient form of slavery. And so the fifth forbidden secret is this. Modern freedom is the most sophisticated form of control. They let you speak because they've already scripted your response. They let you dream because they've already sold you the illusion of success. Wealth, it's rationed. Autonomy, simulated. Truth, filtered through digital firewalls built by invisible architects. Ask yourself, how much of your daily life do you actually control? Your food, owned by conglomerates. Your money, tracked, digitized, devalued. Your thoughts, indexed. Your faith, ridiculed. And the sixth forbidden secret is silence. The ones who know say nothing. Those who speak disappear. The real truth has no platform. And those who hold it, they live in shadows. You won't find them on Forbes, but they run the ones who are. And still you stay, you scroll, you consume. Not because you're weak, but because you were never shown the exit. The seventh forbidden secret is that the exit isn't outside, it's inside. They engineered your internal world. They colonized your mind. You were trained to doubt what you feel, question what you see, and obey what you're told. You were programmed to trust the cage. If this hit you hard, type it in the comments. They control everything. Because they do. And now that you know, silence is no longer an option. The truth is finally out. Comment below if you see it too. But be warned. What's coming next is the part they fear you'll see. The vault is open, and inside is something they never wanted revealed. Are you still with me? Then let's go deeper. You wake up every morning believing you're in control, that your work creates value, that your paycheck is the reward. But what if that belief was engineered? What if the money you chase was never really yours? You live inside a system built to extract your energy, your time, your dreams, and convert them into control. That's the hidden code. That's the trap you were never supposed to see. From the outside, the economy looks like a living thing, unpredictable, organic. But behind the numbers, behind the headlines, behind the talking heads, there's design, precision, a silent architecture calibrated to keep power exactly where it's always been. You call it capitalism. They call it control. This is the second forbidden secret. The game was never designed for you to win. Every dollar you touch is born in debt, created by institutions with no allegiance to nations, only to profit. The Federal Reserve, central banks, private entities disguised as public servants. They don't print money for your prosperity. They create it for your obedience. Inflation isn't a mistake. It's the plan. A slow theft hidden beneath percentages and forecasts. The cost of living rises, but your purchasing power bleeds away, drip by drip, until you're too exhausted to notice you're sinking. This isn't economics. It's programming. You were taught to chase money, but not how money is made. You were trained to save, but never shown why saving feels like trying to hold water in your hands, because the system wasn't built to reward you. It was built to recycle your effort back into their machine. Your bank account is not a measure of success. It's a measurement of how effectively you've been contained. Bretton Woods, the end of the gold standard. Every so-called innovation was a step away from sovereignty, from tangible value to paper, from paper to digits, from digits to code. Now they speak of programmable currency, central bank digital currencies, money with built-in rules, conditions, expiration dates. They frame it as safety, but it's a cage with a velvet lining. A currency that can be frozen, tracked, denied, based on your behavior, your choices, your compliance. You think this is far off? It's already happening. Pilot programs, beta tests, social credit systems. The blueprint is here, and it all leads to one destination, a world where your freedom exists only if the system permits it. They won't need to arrest you. They'll just turn off your money. That's the future they're engineering. Not through violence, through convenience, because control feels harmless when it looks like progress. They never needed to take your home. They took your attention, your autonomy, your ability to question the code, because the most powerful prison is the one that teaches you to love your chains. And yet, something inside you resists. You feel it when the bills pile up, when your job devours your time but feeds you less, when everything around you becomes more expensive, yet somehow more empty. That tension you feel is not random. It's the edge of awareness, the flicker of truth trying to break through the programming. You were told money is freedom, but you were never taught who created the rules. You were told to invest, but never shown who profits when the system collapses. You were told to work hard, but the rules were written by those who never had to work a day in their lives. And while you're watching the markets, they're watching you. Algorithms map your habits, predict your spending, influence your choices. Every transaction, a data point, every swipe, a signal. You're not just using the system, you're feeding it. And it doesn't sleep, it doesn't blink. It doesn't ask permission. It simply rewrites your reality, one silent update at a time. Still think your money belongs to you. That's the real illusion. But you're beginning to see it, aren't you? The cracks in the foundation, the flicker behind the curtain. And once you've seen the code, there's no unseeing it, because the deeper we go, the closer we get to what they fear most. You were taught to believe that knowledge was power, that school would set you free, that education was the great equalizer. But what if every book, every lesson, every page you memorized was a carefully crafted illusion? What if the system that claimed to enlighten you was the very weapon used to blind you? From the moment you entered a classroom, the programming began. You weren't educated, you were conditioned, not to think, but to obey, to accept, to conform. The curriculum you followed wasn't written for your liberation. It was engineered by the elite to maintain their invisible control. Behind the blackboards and diplomas, behind the lectures and standardized tests, there was always a hidden agenda, and you were never meant to see it. They told you history was fact, but they erased the parts that mattered. The revolutions that truly threatened power, the thinkers who questioned everything, the discoveries that didn't fit their narrative. You learned about kings and presidents, but never about the ones who really pull the strings. Because if you ever knew who truly ran the world, the illusion of choice would vanish overnight. This is not education, this is spiritual control, a manipulation of perception at the deepest level. You were taught what to think, not how to think. Memorization replaced curiosity, obedience replaced wonder, and questions were punished. The global matrix depends on that silence, a world of quiet minds, distracted hearts, and passive souls. Universities became factories, degrees became chains. Knowledge was no longer sacred, it was commodified, packaged, sold, and sterilized. The deeper you went into the system, the further you drifted from truth. The real knowledge, the dark knowledge, was kept locked away. Ancient texts, forbidden sciences, hidden symbols, secret codes passed down through rituals, not lectures, because some truths are never printed. They're whispered behind closed doors, reserved only for those at the top. Have you ever wondered why the more educated someone becomes, the more they defend the system? That's not intelligence, that's indoctrination. A polished cage is still a cage, and the ones inside are trained to defend it. They've even turned the internet, the last wild frontier of free thought, into a maze of distraction. Algorithms decide what you see, what you learn, what you believe. One wrong click, and you're buried in noise, misinformation, useless data. The signal is buried under the static on purpose, because if you ever found the truth, you'd never look at the world the same again. This is the third forbidden secret. The education system was designed to keep you ignorant of your power, to suffocate the dangerous knowledge that could awaken you, to convince you that slavery is security and obedience is intelligence. They didn't just rewrite history, they rewired your mind. They made you believe that questioning the narrative is dangerous, that trusting your instincts is foolish, that truth is relative. But deep inside, beneath the programming, a part of you is still awake. A part of you remembers. What if everything you've been taught was a lie? What if the real knowledge was always hidden in plain sight, encoded in symbols, concealed in myths, buried in forgotten languages? Very few have seen it and lived to tell the story. Because this truth doesn't just challenge the system, it threatens to burn it to the ground. They lied to you since birth, about who you are, about what's possible, about what's real. But now, that veil is starting to lift. The cracks in the wall are spreading, and through them, the light of forbidden truth is breaking in. If this hit you hard, type, "They control everything." The truth is finally out. Comment below if you see it too, and brace yourself, because what comes next will expose the fourth secret they swore you'd never find. They don't just want your attention. They don't just want your labor. They don't even want your money. What they truly crave is your soul, your essence, the invisible part of you that questions, dreams, resists. And the most terrifying part, they've already begun taking it without you ever noticing. The elite has long stopped controlling humanity through force. Now they do it through belief. Not what you think, but what you believe to be true. That's the root of control. That's the real battlefield. And most people are losing silently. Look around you. Spirituality has been replaced with spectacle, purpose with pleasure, meaning with media. They crafted a world where identity is measured in brands and value is judged by visibility. But none of that is accidental. It's a meticulously designed ritual. Modern, yes, but ritual nonetheless. A system so refined that it doesn't need chains or cages. All it needs is distraction, repetition, and emotional sedation. The Matrix is not a digital prison. It's a spiritual illusion, a screen between your eyes and the real. The hidden system that governs your desires is far older than you think. Long before corporations, before governments, there were symbols, coded messages embedded into culture, into religion, into your subconscious. The same shapes, the same numbers, the same geometry, repeating through architecture, fashion, film, and technology. Always present, always unchallenged. They don't scream, they whisper, and yet they speak louder than truth. You thought the media was just entertainment, but you didn't notice the inverted crosses, the all-seeing eyes, the staged ceremonies cloaked as pop culture. You thought religion was about connection, but you never saw how the message was fractured, filtered, and fractured again until it lost all power. You believed you were free to choose your path, but the paths were built to loop in circles. The rituals continue, and most follow them blindly. Every morning scroll, every branded purchase, every public performance of self. It's not just culture, it's submission wrapped in aesthetics. There's a billionaire agenda that thrives on your spiritual emptiness, because when your soul is hollow, you'll buy anything to fill it. You'll chase trends instead of truth. You'll consume until you're consumed. You'll forget who you are, and worse, forget that you ever forgot. That's the real wealth code. Drain the spirit, dominate the body, own the mind. This isn't just manipulation, it's spiritual warfare. You were born with a compass, a sense that there's more, but the noise has drowned the signal. Ancient traditions reduced to hashtags, silence replaced with stimulation, contemplation buried under content. And all the while, the elite continues its rituals. Not in temples, but in algorithms. Not with incense, but with influence. Not behind robes, but behind brands. You feel it, don't you? That quiet emptiness beneath the surface. That strange longing every time the screen goes black. That suspicion that you're being guided, but not by anything divine. That's not coincidence, that's control. A system so perfectly designed, it doesn't just manipulate your behavior, it reshapes your beliefs, slowly, softly, completely. They've replaced inner truth with outer noise, and they did it so gently you thought it was your own choice. But every step, every thought, every craving, it was all mapped, engineered, marketed. You weren't living, you were rehearsing their script. And the scariest part, most never realize it, this is the fourth forbidden secret. They've made distraction the new devotion, worship redirected towards screens, symbols, and superficiality. Your beliefs are not your own. Your spirituality has been sold. And while you search for light, they keep feeding you mirrors. And yet, if you're still watching, something in you is breaking free. A quiet fire, a memory, a voice they tried to bury long ago. It's calling you to remember, to look deeper, to question the ritual you've been living. Because behind the symbols, behind the silence, something waits, something they never wanted you to see. You were never meant to see this. Not now, not ever. Because the truth you've just unlocked isn't safe. It's not sanitized. It's not approved by the manipulated system that raised you. It's raw, forbidden, and so dangerous. They buried it beneath layers of entertainment, false education, and economic distraction. But somehow, you made it here. And that means the veil is lifting. The final illusion is beginning to dissolve. They told you freedom was your birthright, but the second you were born, you were marked, numbered, programmed. You've been living inside a global matrix, scripted by an unseen elite, enforced through spiritual control and economic slavery. And all your life they've whispered the same lie. You are free. But you were never free. 7 forbidden secrets have been revealed. Not just ideas, exposures. Each one a cut in the curtain, letting in just enough light to blind you with the magnitude of what's been hidden. The first secret dismantled the illusion of choice. You saw how every decision you thought was yours was placed there, manufactured by algorithms, engineered through social programming, guided by data you never consented to give. This isn't democracy. It's behavioral control, disguised as freedom. The second secret shattered the myth of money. You realized your income was never wealth, it was debt. Currency was never designed to make you rich, but to make you obedient. The Federal Reserve, Bretton Woods, digital currency, they were never tools of prosperity. They were locks, and you were collateral. The third secret exposed the educational weapon. History wasn't written, it was edited. Science was censored. Knowledge was filtered until only what served their agenda survived. While you memorized presidents, they erased the puppet masters. While you chased diplomas, they sold you an identity built on borrowed truth. The fourth secret pierced the soul. The rituals you thought were culture, the symbols in your music, your fashion, your screens, were never accidental. They were silent ceremonies of distraction. Your spirit wasn't lost, it was hijacked. Your purpose wasn't weak, it was replaced. The fifth secret revealed the social mirror. Your fears, your beliefs, your emotions, all manipulated through screens, algorithms, influencers, false enemies. What you hated, they programmed. What you loved, they sold. And what you became, that was never up to you. The sixth secret showed you the vault. The real wealth was never in circulation. It was in ownership, land, assets, energy, media, locked away by the same billionaire families who write the rules. You chased dollars. They controlled empires. And the seventh secret, the one that binds them all, was this. You were conditioned not to care, conditioned to mock the truth, to reject the whistleblower, to protect the very prison that enslaves you. Because the most effective control is the one you defend. Now you know, but knowledge alone doesn't free you. Awareness is only the first crack in the walls of this manipulated reality. The truth runs deeper, much deeper, and what you've seen is just the beginning. Because what comes next will show you something even darker, that 97% of the world's power, real, economic, untouchable power, is already owned by fewer than you can count on one hand, hidden behind corporations, cloaked in law, protected by narrative. This isn't capitalism, it's capture. You thought they were fighting over power, but there is no fight. There is only ownership. You thought you had a chance, but the game was already finished before you took your first breath. And now, we're peeling back the final layer. You're about to see the code behind the empire, the architecture of the trap, the design of your obedience. In the next video, 97% owned, exposing the global financial conspiracy. The truth that could collapse everything, or enslave what's left of it. If you feel it, if something in your chest says, this is real, comment below. Let them know you're not asleep anymore. Say, I'm awake now. Or type, this can't stay hidden. Because silence is how they win. You've seen the secrets, you've heard the warning. Now get ready for what they fear the most, the awakening that can't be stopped. Before this video disappears, make sure you subscribe now, not just to follow a channel, but to stand with those who are finally waking up. If you've made it this far, it means you see what most still deny. Type in the comments, now I see it. Let the system know you're not blind anymore. Hit the like button, not for us, but as a signal of resistance. Every click is a crack in their control. And what's coming next? It's already on your screen. Click before they bury it. This is no longer curiosity. This is survival.